Bullshit.
It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich. This episode includes a portion of my recent talk to a group of seniors at Point Park University. My goal was to help them prepare as they move on from college into their careers. I referenced the John Malecki story to help them overcome adversity. I pointed out the difference between dreams and goals, and I explained how millennials are just like other generations, despite being bashed throughout the media today. I hope you enjoy it. What if you achieved your dream and you were told at age 27 that you had to quit? What if you achieved your dream and you were told at age 27 you had to quit? You were done. Couldn't do that ever again.
Devastating.
You'd cry. Okay.
That's what happened to John Malecki. John Malecki is a Pittsburgh guy from the Murraysville area. Loved football. Worked at it. Became a star at the high school level in the Whippeal, which is one of the better football markets here. Pittsburgh is one of the better football markets in the country. He goes to the University of Pittsburgh, starts for 3 years, and is team captain for 2 of those years. He proceeds to work to live his dream and play in the NFL, gets cut 13 times by 5 different NFL teams. But he ends up making it, ironically, for his hometown Pittsburgh Steelers. And he plays for a couple of seasons. And then, at age 27, is cut for the 13th, and he decides, final time. He's now put his entire life into this since age 6. He's reassessing it because he's done now with what was his dream. So you all have a dream of what you want to do. And there's 2 parts to this story. The first is, think about how he had to battle through adversity, which is what you're going to do as millennials coming into the workplace. He becomes a star when he's 7 or 8 years old. Then in high school, receives all the accolades and gets recruited by Division I schools. Decides to stay at his hometown university. Starts as a sophomore. Makes all conference and is team captain. Then goes to the NFL, gets cut. His first time he gets cut, he didn't know any better. So he had played in some exhibition games, and he had his jersey and had Malecki on the back of it. So they say, John, coach needs to see you. Bring your playbook. Now, if any of you have watched the HBO series Hard Knocks, you know that when they say, Coach, bring your playbook, what's that mean? You're done. He walks down, talks to the coach, gets done. He's crushed. He's devastated. This has never happened to him. He's walking back, and he gets to his locker, and he sees the equipment manager is taking all this stuff. And he says, he goes to grab his uniform. He goes, you mind if I take this? And they go, no, you can't have that. And he said, the strangest thing was he got cut, but what hurt him the most was he's like, why the heck do they want a Malecki uniform? They're not going to sell that to anybody. It's not going to be on eBay or anything. People aren't going to buy that. He decides, I still want to do this. And he proceeds to go through this same ordeal 12 other times. And why I tell you that is, if you have a clear dream, which most of us don't, most people go through life without really having clear goals and dreams. If you write them down, they become a goal. So that's the first thing. If you're dreaming about something, write it down and talk about how you get there. Then it becomes a goal. But then remember that John Malecki got cut 13 times after being a star. Now, whatever you did to this point in your life, there was something you were good at and you're still good at. So whatever that is, if that's the debate team, if that's music, if that's writing, if that's baseball, whatever that is, think of the person who was the poop. Think of the person who was fantastic. Maybe it was you. Think of that person then getting humbled and coming back 13 times. It's going to happen in the workplace. When you start your job, it might happen in day 1, might happen in day 2, but it will happen within the first 2 weeks. And I call it the oh God moment because I've had a number of positions. And I've had a number of times where I left a lofty position for another one. The most challenging scenario was at 10:23 on my first day at this vice president job. The oh God moment hit. That's the earliest it ever was. Sometimes it's a week or 2 later. When the oh God moment, and you say, oh God, what did I do? What's going on here? That's when you have to think of John Malecki and think of how he got cut 13 times. Because it's going to happen to you in the workplace. You're going to go into that job excited, idealistic, and people are going to knock you down. A lot of times, not even intentionally. They have something going on, and they're under stress, and they didn't give you the time that you thought you were worthy of. But back to John Malecki, 27 years old, has to reassess his life. He said, Dave, I had never not worked out. Ever. He said, I never took a week off. He said, I never didn't have the next training camp, the next game, the next film session. Here I am, knowing it was done. And I didn't know what to do. So your second major takeaway is this. You have to assess your passions and match them up with skills where you've succeeded. So what did John do? He said from the day that he landed at Pitt, he was interviewed a lot. And he realized that he had that down. He realized that he had been interviewed on camera, on microphone, for blogs, for everything. That's one thing he realized. The second thing he realized was that he was pretty good at social media for someone that didn't do it for a living. So he started going down the path, do I go work in the media? And while he's doing this, he's living in an apartment, a couple friends, and growing up, his dad was a handyman, so he had learned a lot of different things. He decides to make a table for their apartment, and he takes an old door, and he spends a bunch of time making his table because he's so used to getting up at 6 a.m. and running, then lifting, and then eating 6 meals a day and watching film, looking at the playbook. So he turns this table into his passion for a week. And all of a sudden, some Steelers and former Steelers and friends come over and they're talking about this table. And a couple of people said, would you make one for me? I said, what the hell? I'm not watching film, not lifting, not running. He begins to make furniture in that look that's so popular right now, which is that rustic look, the steel and wood look, the metal and wood look. And he begins to see that he likes it and he's pretty good at it. So he's now assessed his skills. And remember, I told you 2 of them. He knew he was good at the media. He knew he was good at social media. He's found a third thing that he kind of likes. Now, it's nowhere near what he liked football, but it's still a passion. And he decides to combine those 3 and start a business. And so many of you probably already Googled John Malecki, Malecki. But if you Google John Malecki and you take a look at what he's done, he's built a company and a personal brand. And he jokes, he says, my target markets are 2. One target market is a bunch of do-it-yourself guys who want to be me. So they want to talk to me about how I was in football, and they want to say, how'd you build this? How'd you build that? I want to do that. And he said, the other audience is people who actually want to buy my stuff. So he knows he has 2 audiences. So he's drilled those target audiences down. And he begins to use social media. And he's now built a brand for himself that is growing and growing. And I think you need to keep his name in your mind because I think he's going to continue to grow. There's a couple of reality shows that are being pitched. He's going to continue to grow these two brands. And I tell you that because he met with failure. 13 times he got cut. 27 years old, told, your dream's over, bud. Get on with your life's work, whatever the heck that is. And he's a millennial. And why I bring him up, the third reason is this. Millennials have a bad rap. I'm a Gen Xer. When I was in that chair, they told us this stat. The prediction is Gen Xers, Generation Xers, will have 7 jobs. 7 jobs by the time they retire. They're evil. They're evil. You know why? Because boomers and the silent generation had 1, maybe 2, 3 if you were the crazy one in the family. And you got a gold watch after 25 years at the same company. So we, the Gen Xers, we're known as being snarky. If you look up Gen Xers, we're snarky and cynical and sarcastic. I'm not, as you can tell. I'm not. I don't fit the generation stereotypes. Our generation was stereotyped. Ironically, I'm in my 7th job, and it will be my last one because I am living my dream. But I'm in my 7th job, and they were all great. All of them were great. But we were bashed. The baby boomers are the most bashed generation because they are crazy. It's probably many of your parents. They're crazy people. Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, all these crazy people, okay? Mick Jagger, all these baby boomers, right? So your generation has been bashed, but so has every other generation. You know why? Because when you get older, you forget how you were. I have 3 sons. And my dad constantly says, ha, ha, ha. And I know what he means. And I go, no, sir. I go, no, I didn't. But I did. So that's what it is. Your generation's getting bashed. And it's unfair. You'll change some of the things that you should change. And we'll get into that. But you shouldn't change some of the other things. You're the most altruistic generation in the history of our society. You're the generation that wants to give back and be a part of something more than any other generation in the history of the world. That's a great thing. It's a great thing. Now, let's just not portray it through a Pepsi commercial with, a Kardashian or whatever. But, so that's not how we should portray it, right? That flopped. Total flop. Offended everybody. Managed to offend everybody. It's the rare occasion where an ad offended every single person. Even the guy who created it, like Saturday Night Live spoof. Even the guy that created it was offended. But your generation is the most altruistic. The second major point about your generation is you're the first generation that was born with the internet. So now think about this. Somebody 35 years old, which is young. To you, it isn't. But to Steve and I, it's young. It's really young. Okay? So 35-year-old is young. They still think in terms of what happened when they were 5, 10, and 15. So the internet really didn't hit it across the country till about 96. So someone who was born in 1980 was 16 when they started using the internet. So that generation still knows that there used to only be 3 channels. That generation still knows that there's this thing called a newspaper. They don't read it either, but they remember it. Okay? You're the first generation that was born with this. Now, I will tell you, the generation right behind you, my youngest son is in that generation. They're the ones that are from 18 till birth now. They were born with an iPad in their hands or a smartphone in their hands. So they're even more adept. Look at a 12-year-old compared to you. You guys are great at technology. You make us look horrible. And we make the boomers look horrible. Well, a 12-year-old kicks your ass up and down the street. They do. Because they were born with it. Okay? This is a major asset for you. The No BS Marketing Show is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/nobs. Try a book like Chaotix, The Business of Managing and Marketing in the Age of Turbulence by Philip Kotler and John Castiglione. Go to audibletrial.com/nobs for your free audiobook. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Thanks for joining us for the No BS Marketing Show. Visit masssolutions.biz for show notes, plus additional marketing and messaging resources. Are you signed up for light reading? You'll receive timely, valuable ideas to improve your marketing and transform your message. It really is light, intended to be read in 2 minutes or less, and it just might trigger bright ideas for you. To sign up, visit masssolutions.biz. That's B-I-Z. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold